Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Mythic Harper, who is going to be the next promo character coming to the game. She has been a fan favourite in the past for a lot of people. Obviously it was the classic disarm character a lot of people wanted once upon a time. Visually we can see on the right hand side she is going to keep that trusty bandana and she's got the nice hairstyle. I do like it. Visually she's going to change otherwise because she has got a two-handed weapon this time around. It's a club. Whereas I think before she just had two daggers or two like katanas, like mini katanas. I'm not sure what that actually would be called. And then we see the waist bag around her as well. She's got a lot of orange. So it's very much the theme going on here. I actually like the visual. She looks kind of cool. And if we look on the left-hand side, we can see her in full walker bashing mode as she is just about to take out a walker with that big club, baseball bat, I guess it would be. Very dangerous nailed baseball bat. If we look at her stats as a limit breaking 1 character at level 640, she has got 15,725 attack, 13,978 defense, and 13,978 HP. This is of course without the lieutenant system. Your lieutenant system will add to this. She is a strong character this time around. She is considered a control character, mythic character of course, and her allegiance is a member of the Rebels. So, yep, more Rebels coming to the game. I believe Ivan Nova is already a Rebel. That is an RTS, so the second Rebel coming in to that allegiance. Now, before we get on to the rest of Harper's kit, I am going to be giving away 2 Negan 2000s over the next couple of weeks. One of them is going to be a part of this video, and another one is going to be part of a future live stream. So the one for this video, you have to comment a very specific comment down below, the comment of which you'll find halfway through the video. It'll tell you what you have to do just to actually enter. But the second one will be given away on my live stream this coming Monday, which is Monday the 26th of July. I'll be giving it away live on stream after we look at the battle pass after it comes out, probably around 30 to 45 minutes afterwards. You have to be in chat. You're going to have to be typing something specific at that time as well. And one of you will walk away with a Negan 2000, which will be nice. The Negan 2000 giveaway from this particular video, I'll draw again live on my live stream on Monday the 2nd of August. And you'll have that much time to enter. You can only enter once. You can try and comment as many times as you want, but it'll only count once. So make sure you comment down below. Tell your faction mates if you want them to enter as well, to give themselves a chance to win themselves a Negan here and get yourselves a nice freebie payback character. That would be very nice, wouldn't it? Now the first part of Harper's kit which we're going to look at is called Flower Power. It is her Adrenaline Rush. It has got 66 AP cost. Deal 300% damage to up to 2 enemies. 2 other enemies get confused for 2 turns. So regardless if she takes down these 2 enemies or not, it will be 2 other enemies that get confused. We will test this out, of course, just to see how this works. It kind of reminds me a little bit of old school 6-star Shiva and maybe S-class Michonne, who basically would do damage to 1 character, and if she took that character out, then they would do confuse to 2 others. This is going to have to confuse to 2 others no matter what. And I guess you could see it as not being too bad, because the way you could do it is you could rush first, see where the confuses went, and then decide what you're going to do with the follow-up attack. So basically Harper would be leading the charge when it comes to the rushes. But we'll see. We'll have to test out and just see how exactly the confuse works. Okay, so the rush is up on Harper, and we're going to attack someone who is a fast character because it just makes sense, more trait damage. And we should be able to take out Doc. Obviously Halo's going to come in, so maybe that wasn't the smartest choice. But we did damage to Erica, and the confuse did confuse her. So the way it might work is that the person who is targeted will never be confused, and then it's 2 other people that will be confused. But one of the 2 other people that get confused could be the second character that gets attacked. So it's kind of like an enhanced version of Michonne's rush, where she would normally have a single target, but now it's double target. But the only upside or downside, it really depends on the way you look at it, the target that you're rushing will not get confused. And I can confirm that by just having a 1 character defense team and rushing that character. So here we go again, just a single target on the defense team now. We will rush, we'll do damage, but as you can see, the target does not get confused. There will always be 2 others and if there's only one alive, that character will not be confused. Now obviously, like I said, there are upsides and downsides to this. You could potentially see it as a waste when there's only one alive. It's going to be rare when there's one alive, and it's going to be really important to confuse them, but it could happen in something like Conquest, for instance. However, it is annoying if, let's say, you were to rush a character and they were left on a slither of HP, and then if you took them out, like with Michonne and Shiva back in the day, it would have been two others confused. I have had that happen in the past. Not so much with Michonne because she was monstrous, but it did used to happen a little bit with Shiva, and that's the way it goes. I think this is kind of just to be seen as a nice bonus. The 300% isn't huge. She is mainly seen as a controller, not a damage dealer. So the control always going to people who she's not really focusing isn't necessarily a bad thing. If we look at the upgrades, you can see at grade 3, she gets 100% bonus damage. So it goes from 200% to 300%. And at limit broken, it goes to 1 extra confused target. So it would be quite important to get her as a limit broken character if you do want to get 2 other enemies getting confused rather than just a singular. Now Harper does have a signature move, of course, and it is called Pollination. It has an initial cooldown of turn 2, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. 1 enemy gets minus 25% defense for 2 turns. 2 teammates recover from 1 negative effect. So obviously this is kind of cool. It's going to cleanse all kind of things when it comes to the actual cleanse. It would potentially cleanse Zachary's bleed, but it would happen on turn 2, so you would still take 1 hit of that, so it would hit reasonably hard. You can see the defense down would happen the turn before, which she would rush. So it'd be like basic attack, then she'd do a signature move, and then she'd rush. So she could do the defense down against the character that she intended to rush. You know, you intended to rush with her, and that way that 300% would suddenly become quite a bit more powerful. So I think this signature move is pretty decent, but there is not too much in the way of control on this signature move. It just seems to be in her rush at the moment, and that would be a turn 3, control, which is not super quick. Generally, personally, I'd like to have controllers have turn 1 limited control or turn 2 reasonable control. It basically like stunning a character or impairing at least for 1 or 2 turns in the first 2 turns is quite important, especially when it comes to something like Conquest. However, you could build a team that's reasonably quick to make her rush a bit quicker, but because she's strong, it's going to be less likely to happen. Okay, so here we are on the second turn, and I'm going to use my signature move on Aiko because for whatever reason I intend to rush her the next turn, or potentially I could weaken someone for the rush of Alice. So potentially I could remove the Guardian Shield from Cal and do it that way, but I'm going to go with Aiko, and it's pretty simple. It's not going to have an on attack, so there's not going to be any chance of being controlled myself as a control character, and because obviously Harper is a control character herself, every single form of control that she puts out, well, what defense down is control to a certain extent, it's going to do defense down, but it basically would mean that they've got less chance of resisting it. So this would happen with her rush and her signature move. Of course, you would have to upgrade the respective passive for that to be the case, but it is generally worth doing so if you intend to use a control character. If we look at the upgrades, you can see at grade 2, it goes for -1 cooldown. So that's the secondary one coming around. It goes from 3 to 2. The starting cooldown changes to turn 2 at grade 4, and you would need that second gold mythic to get the character to grade 5 and have an extra recover target for that cleanse, which would definitely be worth it just to be able to recover bleed or any early on controls, turn 1s, or weapon controls. For instance, if you were to attack a team and have a couple of characters stunned on the first turn because of weapons, turn 2, Harper would be able to cleanse those stuns. Actually pretty nice. Okay, so it's that point of the video, guys, and the comment I want you to put down below is happy birthday, Skybound. Obviously, Skybound X is the celebration that Skybound has reached a 10-year anniversary, and that's what the Allegiance is about, that's what the comic's about, that's what these characters are about, was just a little celebration for Skybound X. Do leave that comment in the comments down below if you do want to enter. If you just type happy birthday Skybound, there is potential that YouTube could just automatically delete your comment for spam, so make sure you leave it as part of a grander comment. It just makes it a much less chance of that actually happening. I want to thank each and every one of you who do enter. Do make sure you hit the subscribe button to be notified when I go live on my live streams in the future to win another Negan 2000 and to see the announcement of the winner of this giveaway on the 2nd of August 2021. Now back to the Harper video. Next up is Harper's Mythic Abilities. These are her passives. First up, because she is a controller, she has precision, like I was talking about before, where enemy resistances are 40% lower against this character. You will have to upgrade both Precision 1 and Precision 2 to make that work. The next one is called Sweet Aroma. When this character starts their turn, 40% chance for this character to recover from all debilitating status effects. Now, a debilitating status effect is an effect that controls her in some sort of way and disables her from doing something in her kit or forces her to attack a certain way. So for instance, Confuse and Taunt would force her to attack a certain way, and those would be cleansed. And also Stun would stop her from being able to attack. Daze would stop her from being able to use her signature move. Impair would stop her from being able to use her rush. So all of those would be cleansed. However, something like Bleed and Burn, it would not remove those because they don't debilitate her from actually being able to use her own kit. They would just do damage, and any sort of controls would just be removed. But other than that, no. The next one is called A Rose's Thorns. When attacking, target receives 20% defense down for 2 turns. This is obviously nice because you could lead with Harper or do the attack after disarm with Harper, and then all follow-up attacks on that character for not just that turn, but also the following turn would have defense down. So for instance, you could target a Doc Stevens on turn 1, and then you've got your Michonne leading up on the after Harper and potentially could one-shot, and if she doesn't, the next turn Michonne's signature move would just have enhanced attack potential because of that defense down. So it is quite nice. It's actually kind of support there, while that, again, defense down is considered control. I see that as being more of a supportive thing. The last one is called Falling Petals. When this character starts their turn, 40% chance to remove all positive effects from an enemy. And this will just be like a random selection from an enemy who's got tons of buffs. And this is going to be really, really good against aggro characters, because aggro can build up really quickly, and you've got characters with 200% extra defense, 200% attack. And if they're the last one alive, they're always going to be that character that gets focused by this, so they would just be nullified instantly. This is kind of like an aggro counter, in my opinion. Okay, so we're going to attack a very limited defense team here, and the idea is we're going to get stunned off of turn 1 by attacking Erica, who has got a stun on defense weapon, and it has happened. You can see my attack has 100% chance for this to happen, obviously unless they have a resist or potentially a passive that can block defense down. But defense down will always come in, and that's why I said the follow-up damage onto Erica now would be enhanced. But we're going to defend on all of these characters. You're going to see 2 defense buffs come on the defense team because they're both holding alert buffs weapons. At the beginning of my next turn, Harper has a chance to cleanse one of those alert buffs. So one of the 20% defense boosts will be removed, and she has a 40% chance to remove the stun on herself. So we're going to hit defend, and we're going to see if anything gets cleansed at all. She cleanses the stun on herself, so you can see she can attack, and she also cleanses the 20% defense buff that was on Kapoor. So basically everything proc that time, and I'm not going to lie and say that this was the first time I tried to make it happen, but it all procced on the same turn, which was nice. So now I can follow up attacks again and potentially, do whatever I want. I can do my signature move where I'm not going to get stunned this time, and this time I can, in this particular situation, I can do the defense down on a character that no longer has a defense buff, and even more enhanced damage is going to come in. So yeah, definitely nice in terms of how the cleanses work, and I don't think the percentage chance for these to happen is too ridiculous, but still will happen a lot of the time. Now, if you're auto-battling, these will just be constantly going off, which is actually kind of nice. It's going to just remove nice buffs from the defense team, like I said, potentially aggro. I think that's the main one I can see. I think is really nice. If we look at the upgrades, you can see at grade 1 it's Sweet Aroma, grade 2 is Precision 1, A Rose's Thorns is at grade 3, Sweet Aroma 2 is at grade 4, Falling Petals is at grade 5, and at Limit Break 1 it is Precision 2. I will note that this is probably some of the most passes I've seen on a character. This is 6. Generally, I've only ever seen 5, but this is 6. And all of them require 20 out of 20 upgrades, so it is going to be quite a lot of military supplies. But this is where a lot of Harper's power does seem to lie, in her kit And that is where a lot of the control comes in when it comes to cleansing herself, which is a nice little bonus, but also cleansing the enemy of their buffs, which I think is obviously going to be really useful right now and potentially could be even more useful down the line if something big comes out, like a new faction assault, let's say, and the character actually starts to buff themselves. Like there was a character that did that once upon a time. They had Hold the Line, and that would cleanse the Hold the Line. It would also work against Hold the Line defense team characters. If you took out an entire team, the Hold the Line buffs could potentially be removed for one turn, and again, just make it a bit more easier to take them down. Now, as you've probably seen, Harper is a leader, and if we check out her leader skill, it is all teammates get 25% attack up, and all strong teammates deal 25% bonus trait advantage damage. So she's mainly a strong character lead, basically, where she's going to give bonuses to attack. Now, this is a big boost to the amount of attack output that she's going to give. Effectively, it's a 50% boost to damage from strong characters. So behind a Harper, you're going to get massive amounts of damage if you've got strong characters. Now, the all teammates get 25% attack up may sound strange. It doesn't work like a buff, I believe. We'll check it out. It will make her a leader. I think it just works like any other leader skill, where it just gives a character more attack off the base, and it multiplies with the weapon, just like how it would with Negan, just how it would with Alice, Rick, Aiko, that sort of thing. So we start the fight, and as you can see, there's no 25% attack buff on everybody. It is off the base, just like the other leaders would work. Now, characters, when I attack this character here that are not strong, will not do extra damage. So for instance, if I attack with Gov, you can see it's just going to be a normal hit that comes out. But if I attack with Harper herself, it might say something based on the fact that she's doing a leader attack. It isn't going to say anything, but she is going to be doing enhanced damage when it's trait damage. This should work with combat mods, and it should work with trait advantage weapons as well. So it's basically any trait advantage source from a strong character should get the boost this way. Just the way it is meant to have worked with Rick. At least that's how I've been told it worked. I cannot guarantee this is the case, but this is how I have been told. And then obviously the follow-up damage is just going to be enhanced, and you could potentially take out particularly fast characters very early on in the fight, just because of the enhanced damage to strong characters is going to be off the base. They're always going to do trait damage against fast characters. And the bonus with this leader skill as well is you mainly stack strong characters on the same attack team, and strong attacks would work with this leader skill too. So you could potentially have a 50% attack buff to 4 characters. You just put the strong attacks weapon in the hands of someone who you didn't necessarily want to do the damage themselves. Back in the day, it would have been someone like Rick, who was a command, but nowadays it's a bit harder to choose. I personally use Kelly or sometimes Wayland, depending on the team I've got, because I don't necessarily have to do damage with those characters, and I want to do damage with other characters like Sandy and Michonne. So it'd be kind of the same situation in a full strong lineup. I wouldn't be too sure who else except Michonne would be that heavy damage dealer. Maybe there'll be another heavy damage dealer coming in down the line that is actually a strong character. We'll have to wait and see. But potentially Harper could be that lead. I know that a lot of people will look at characters like Negan and think he's a great way to go, but I really do like this character's passives, and these are going to be much more useful in like an auto situation. Like I said, you're effectively going to be just potentially debuffing a character by removing their buffs at the beginning of your turn, which is very handy for sure. Now, Harper does have an attached weapon, and this is what it looks like visually. It is a 4-star weapon. I 5-starred it to put a different weapon in her hands. Harper's Vicious Baseball Bat. It isn't a club, it's a baseball bat. But it's going to do the same sort of thing. 25% attack boost, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, bonus crit, 25 crit when attacking enemies with less than 30% of the max HP. Not a great weapon for sure. Definitely want to swap a weapon into her hands. If you do make her a leader, 1535 is definitely the way to go, just to buff the entire team. So she'd be doing quite a lot of buffs here potentially. 25% to all teammates, 25% extra trait damage, 1535 would give another 15% from the weapon, and then if you had a strong attacks weapon, you could potentially have up to 50% buff. That's 4 big attack buffs, and those all stack, so, and potentially will multiply with each other based on other people's weapons and so on and so forth. So it's going to be really, really high potential damage output just on even basic attacks. So yeah, I think this leader could be really nice. It'd be really useful for something like Onslaught, where you can't do things like rushes, so you're going to be relying on those basic attack hits a lot more. So that is Mythic Harper, and I really like this character visually. I think parts of her kit are nice. The Confuse on the Rush is nice. I think her signature move is a little bit hit or miss. I would have preferred there be actual some control on that, but that's just the way it is. I think her passives are good. I think that, you know, the cleansing of herself and other people is really nice. The cleansing of herself isn't as important, I guess. She's generally not going to be focused. I have noticed that characters that are controllers and support characters on attack teams are generally not the things that, you know, controllers actually focus. Controllers focus the damage dealers. So this is something that, I mean, if the AI was improved a bit, and it should really be improved, because the dogpiling is kind of awful and the character selection is still really bad in terms of just like random character selection, not so much. Always selecting damage dealers heavily. So yeah, hopefully that changes, but I think once Harper does get controlled, generally it's going to be on those weapons like I showed you, stun on defense and stuff, where she's going to come into really good use. All that passive's going to come into good use. Now, passives will proc no matter what, even if she is controlled, so she could potentially be cleansing people on the defense team when she's just fully stunned, so that can work. But yeah, I think Harper's pretty decent. I think long term she could be more useful, the more strong damage dealers that come out. Like I said, Michonne plus another strong damage dealer, plus Wayland, plus maybe another strong character that's maybe more control-based or heal-based. I don't know. I think there is a nice, strong attack team in the making long-term. We'll have to see. Do give me your thoughts on Harper. What do you think of her visually? Do you think she's kind of keeping in line with the Harper we know and love in the past? She isn't at this time, of course, but I kind of like her. We see a bit more when it comes to like tattoos and stuff on her as well. I think visually she looks really cool. But do give me your thoughts in the comments down below. That is going to be the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.